You are live.
Good afternoon once again and welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie and this afternoon I have Jeandre on camera with me, and I realized that in the last 28 drives I have done that introduction now, what would that be, 56 times that I have done that introduction at the start of each and every drive. So we do apologize for the gremlins that seem to be affecting us at the start of each and every single drive. As I said, and as you can imagine, this is a live safari from the middle of the African bush, which means that every now and again things do go wrong. It's not the simplest thing in the world to bring a live safari to you from this area. Now we are coming to you live from Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserves in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. It's wonderful to have you on board, and please don't forget that we not only are we live, but we are also interactive, which means that you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV. And please do let us know. We love to hear from you. Your questions and your comments and your jokes are always more than welcome. Right, so this morning an action-packed safari, sort of. At least the beginning of it was super action-packed. We had the lions for 1 minute-ish, roughly about a minute, walking very rapidly in this direction. Then we got a call that there were wild dogs, so we raced across, and then they also came in this direction. Then I went back to try and find the lions. They walked over my tracks, and while I was tracking them, they popped out here on Arathusa, at which point there is a queue that was a little bit too long for us to get into the sighting before the end of the sunrise safari. Luckily for us, we're out before everybody else. We're heading straight to the last positions that those lions were seen in. Unfortunately for us, it does mean some rumbling along these bumps. I'll stop here for a second, just because the Steenbok is being so sweet and obliging. This young male has stopped right next to the road, giving us an opportunity to look at one of Djuma's smallest antelope. I'll say Djuma purely because it is on the right-hand side of the road. If it were on the left, it would be one of Arathusa's smallest antelope species, for we find ourselves between the two great reserves. Nibbling away at the black monkey orange, not necessarily my choice of a meal on an afternoon, but for a Steenbok is definitely what he is after. And I know it is a he, of course, because he's got two dagger-like horns sticking up out of the top of his head. Those enormous ears twitching backwards and forwards, making sure he's listening to what we're doing whilst facing away from us. And those long-lashed eyes being protected, closing whenever he reaches in for a mouthful. Oh, that was a springy branch. Alright, sorry Mr. Steenbok, you are truly lovely, but we've got a race against the clock right now, and we need to try and get to those lions before the afternoon truly gets underway. So we will leave him for now. And while we race along and dodge the cars that are coming down the main road, we'll send you over to Brent, who would also like to say good afternoon for the first and probably the only time this afternoon.
Welcome to that Sunset Safari. My name is Brent. I have Dangerous Dave on camera. He's not looking so dishy today, I'm afraid, ladies. We might show you a little bit later. Oh, yes, no, I'm only teasing, of course. And I've put my blinkers on. I've driven out of camp. I'm not looking for Karula. I'm not looking for her cubs. I'm going to try get to Cheetah Plains. We do have someone out looking for her and her cubs, and we've popped Herbert out on foot in that area. So hopefully Herbie has some luck with Queen Karula and those little ones. So that is freeing me up to go have a little visitation to the east. I feel like I haven't been there in a really long time, so I'm quite excited. And it'll be quite nice just to have a look what's going on down there, see if there's some eddies around the pans, maybe the cheetah boys are back. But very excited to get there. And while we're on the way, of course, we're not going to ignore any of the other beautiful animals out here. Speaking of such, we have a striped donkey ahead. or a couple of striped donkeys and some impala. Hello, zebras. Now, we couldn't even find a zebra on the sunrise safari. Well, at least our sunset safari is off to a better start. Oh yeah, little snort. You can see really picking between the dust, pieces of dust for any form of nutrients at the moment. But even saying that, they haven't started losing condition just yet. They can be incredibly hardy animals, and in other parts of Africa they live in very arid areas, on the edges of the deserts of the Kalahari in particular. And there's a massive zebra migration actually in Botswana. It goes through very dry part of the country. So quite hardy, but it is going to get tough, especially as we get towards October. Oh, a little oxpecker on the back. Red-billed oxpecker picking off the ticks and other parasites that might be on that zebra. Oh, it looks like the zebras are going to move off into some slightly thicker bush, and we are on the long road to the east. Oh, hello, impalas. So there's always a chance the Styx Pride might make an appearance, and or those cheetah boys, as I said, or one of our favourites, Dave, you're going to be fast, because this is a little predator we don't see too often, and he's even too fast for me. I've still got him. See that little guarri thicket there? Okay, at the base of that guarri thicket, let's see if we can get a view from this side. One of the fastest moving little predators out here, a little slender mongoose. Okay, oh, he just went down the back side of the... Let's see if he pops out. No, there he is, to the right. There. Oh, he just ran off. Oh, so close. That was a split-second view of a slender mongoose. There he is. Nice, Dave. Now, they are incredible hunters for a creature of that size. Off he goes. And I think he might be planning to come after these crested francolin that are actually quite close to us. Where'd they go? Can hear them. Ah, there. A little bit further forward. So even though they're quite small, they'll take a bird of that size, which is quite a big ground bird, the crested francolin. So he looks like he might be planning a way, using cover to get to the francolin. Specifically, well, this time of the year in the Natal francolin have youngsters. Oh, off they go. But really cool. Not a predator we see too often. And they hunt squirrels, birds, mice, lizards, all sorts of little creatures, as well as insects, of course. That is the slender mongoose. Solitary mongoose species, unlike the other mongoose, two of the other mongoose species we get here, the dwarf mongoose and the banded mongoose. So they only really come together for mating, and if you ever see a slender mongoose with a couple or a couple of slender mongoose, it's a female with some babies. Now we had a tiny bit of rain a couple of days ago, and Kat's wondering, did that rainfall benefit the grazers even in a small way. Not in a way you would think. So what it does do is it, with the little puddles and stuff that are around, it'll enable them to feed further away from the permanent waterholes where there might be more access to fodder and not have to travel such big distances to drink and to feed. But of course that's just very much on the short term. Oh, bouncy bounce. Okay, we're on our southern boundary and we're heading east. And at the end of this road is the Kruger National Park. And of course there's no fence between the Sabi Sands and the Kruger National Park. So the animals are free to wander between both. And remember, you're on a live African safari and you are able to ask us questions using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or the email address questions@WildEarthTV. So now, even as I say I'm not looking for Karula, I'm always checking up in the trees, hopefully seeing some sign of a kill up high, but so far no such luck for the last couple of days. So the area where we had Karula's cubs yesterday was just in here, not very far from us, but with the rain, the ground is really hard, making it very difficult to see tracks. Although I'm 100% sure she did not cross south west on Djuma. So I checked the Mawati River twice and there was no sign. There is a possibility she could have crossed south over this road. It is quite busy. So this is that little Mawati River, which runs through the center of Karula's territory. Now we checked up and down here very carefully. We had one track of a cub sort of heading in a southeasterly direction. So there's a possibility she could be in here still, and we're going to let Herbie go take a chance on foot, see if he can find her. Okay, so I'm going to get on the long road to Cheetah Plains. Now while I do that, let's go see how Jamie's doing in the west.
We are on the long road to Gowrie Gate at the moment, so we were stopped by one very excited gentleman who was pointing back in this direction saying, "The lions are there, the lions are there." Not sure where though. He said to me that they were by the power lines. This whole road is a stretch that has power lines, but it does have two sections where the power lines cross the road. The optimistic thing is that he suggested that these lines were on the right-hand side if we were going up along the road, which I'm really hoping means that they're on Djuma, because at this point, Simbambili is now on our left where we can't go. It's one of the separate reserves where Wild Earth does not have traverse rights. I'm really hoping that they're on the right here. Everybody's keeping their eyes peeled. I don't think we drove past a whole pride of lions. There was myself, Jandre and Chelsea on the back, all keeping an eye out for them. I think between the three of us we probably would have seen them, unless they've started moving. In which case that definitely changes things. It's warm this afternoon. Not too warm for lions to be out and about, especially females. So they might have decided to carry on walking. I'm really hoping that's not the case though. And the ground is so hard at the moment that tracks are incredibly difficult to see. This is also where we were with the wild dogs. It was sheer chaos this morning as we came racing along down the road to keep up with them. Okay, let's go faster to that next set of power lines where the power lines cross. So I don't see any tracks here or any evidence that they're around here, except for a suspicious lack of animals. They all seem to be hiding away. Yep. Thought I saw a giraffe, but it was a tree. Quite obviously a tree. Oh, thank you, Jean-Andre. That's really nice. Jean-Andre thought it was a giraffe as well. I got very excited there for a moment. There's no lions here. And there's the gate. The gate which is an interesting turn of affairs. The gate which is currently closed. Due to some interesting times being had outside of the gate. But for now, not that we feel in any way trapped, but we are effectively trapped in the Sabi sand. Which is, I'm quite okay with. I'm quite content with that. There are definitely worse places to be stranded. Alright, there's no lions here. And I think we would have known if they were at the gate. I suppose that's one way to break up the blockage. Have some lions wandering around that area. Alright, let's go back again. Turn around, go back, we've missed something. Or they're moving. One of two options. If they're completely flat, they might have lifted their heads when he drove past, giving him a glimpse of them. Then if they've been lying flat, they might be a little bit harder to spot. Nope, we should go all the way back. And they did cross further down there, which makes me think that they are in that region. Come on, lions. You've been leading us on a merry dance for the last 12 or so hours. It's time to end it if we can't meet up with them. And I actually need to find out as well for this afternoon that I plan on spending on Arathusa unless we find the lions here. I need to find out from everybody where they finally left those wild dogs that were on a mission to go back further to the west. And we think they're part, we don't know. We're still waiting for confirmation. We think that they are 3 members of the Sands Pack, which are denning off in a place called Ottawa. And they're sort of moving in a direct line back in that direction. Okay, come on. Third time lucky. Third time lucky. These lions have got to be here somewhere. There are some very relaxed impalas. Andre is absolutely right. Okay, hold on one moment. I've been told to phone Brent on the Game Drive comms. I'm on the Western channel. Let me just switch to the Northern channel. Brent standing by. Copy that, thanks Brent. We did encounter somebody who just told us that they might have crossed, but I will check there first. Brett just wanted to give us more specific directions as to where we might go. So there you go, Rebecca. I phoned Brent on the Game Drive channel, sort of, and we will continue on our search for the lions. Rebecca says that was our joke for the day. It was a very funny one, Rebecca. Okay. Come on, lions. Alright, let's, for want of an alternate solution, let's just check where the lions were left earlier today. Let's go and investigate. We've still got some time before the other vehicles come out on Game Drive. Now, they might just be lying up in the shade here. So perhaps our friendly gentleman got his lefts and his rights confused. Distinctly possible. Oh, and just a quick update, by the way, on Sindile, just while I remember. He seems to be in Torchwood at the moment. So Sindile, the young male leopard with his collar, his tracking collar, he seems to be in Torchwood, which is just a little bit to the east of where we can travel. So it looks as though he might come back through towards this familiar area, and hopefully if he does, he'll come through Djuma in order to do so. And a very big welcome to Mrs. Hubble and Mrs. Holtman, who are watching in Kelham High. It's fantastic to have you on board. Wonderful to hear from you. And I really look forward to sharing the next few moments of our live safari experience with you. And forgive me, for I am distracted in terms of looking for these lions. They escaped me this morning. Well, no, they didn't. We saw them this morning. And then they escaped me briefly after that. I just want to double check really carefully around in this area under the shade, because that of course is where the lions shall be at this time of day. It's very, very warm this afternoon. Is that a lion or is it a log? It's a log. It is definitely a log. You are absolutely right. That is 100% a log. And welcome to Abu Sheikh. It's wonderful to have you on board. You wanted to know how many prides of lions we have in this area. The answer to that is we actually follow 2 prides mainly. Those are the ones we see on a regular basis, along with a dominant male lion coalition that are called the Birmingham Boys, or nicknamed the Birmingham Boys. Then we also get another pride called the Salalas, the Salala Breakaways, which are also known as the Mangeni Pride. Sorry everybody, I do have to get onto the Game Drive channel in order to speak to everybody, or try to. Let's just try and get off-road. As soon as I've got a moment to spare on the Game Drive channel, then we'll be able to chat to the guys. Well done, Jandre. So for new viewers who are watching us drive over the trees in this area, we're very, very particular about which trees we drive over. We choose the species very carefully, and we choose the young saplings that will spring up behind us. We do that so that we don't have any kind of major impact on the area around us. And I mean, in terms of us off-roading, you can imagine what kind of effect an entire elephant herd has in this sort of context. What we do in terms of our off-roading is not nearly the same effect, but we are very, very careful about what we do, and we wouldn't, for example, drive over a young tamboti tree. And this is where the lions, I think, were. Watch out there. Oh, the wonderful news is it's not just me out here, and while I'm looking for these lions, I'm going to send you over to Brent to find out how his journey to Cheetah Plains has worked out.
Welcome to Mrs. Altman and Mrs. Hubble and Clennon High School in Virginia Beach, and we're in the middle of the African bush on a live African safari, and Jamie's out looking for lions. I've come down to the eastern part of our traverse area, and I'm hoping for some elephants and maybe even some cheetah. There's some big open plains in this area, but the wonderful thing about being in the bush, it's not always about the big hairies and scaries. There are lots of little fascinating plants and bugs and birds out here for us to have a look at. We're on our way at the moment towards one of the prominent water holes here in the northeastern Sabi Sands, and fingers crossed we're going to find some animals there. So it seems like quite a few of them are wondering what the weather's like here out in Djuma. It is beautiful at the moment. It's about 27 degrees Celsius, 78 Fahrenheit, and this is winter, the middle of winter. Now, the morning wasn't so warm, and it was about 45 Fahrenheit, so it was a chilly start to the day for us, but that's quite common in the temperature around here, that it starts off cold, warms up through the day, temperature drops quite quickly again after dark, but it is quite a wonderful climate if you're not too fond of the cold, which I'm not, and it's a sort of what you would call bush veld. In particular, this is low veld, so we're the low area between two mountain ranges, the Drakensberg Mountains and the Lebombo Mountains, and that bush that Dave is showing you off to the left there is what you would call mixed broadleafed woodland. So it's a very, very popular sort of woodland species for quite an area for quite a lot of different species. We find all of Africa's big five, including cheetah, wild dog, zebra, wildebeest, and what I am hoping is we might find some of those creatures here. We did have some unusual winter rainfall a couple of days ago, and about 15 mils, so the animals are a bit spread out. Now, Melody's wondering, what animals do we normally see? Well, on a daily basis, every day we'll see sort of impala, zebra, wildebeest, elephant, buffalo, and then probably 5 or 6 times a week, just depends, cats, lions, leopards, hyenas. But you must remember, this is a completely open system. We're part of an 8.5 million acre open system. It's a transfrontier park that spans 3 different countries. South Africa, and there's a beautiful little bird. Let me just go forward a little bit. You got him there, Dave, on the right hand side of the branch there. A beautiful, off he flies, stop. Where did he land? At the back. Let's just try and get another view of him. So, okay, you got him there, Dave. So I'm going to put the branch in front of the termite mound. He's flown up a bit. He's going to land back on the same perch. Down, and then to the left. The left, there we go, up, center frame. There we go. It's a beautiful little insectivorous bird called a bee-eater. This one's called a little bee-eater. Now, they've got that name because when they catch bees, they are very good at beating them against sticks to avoid being stung while they feed off them. So that is a little bee-eater. Sorry, Melody, I will get back to your question in a second. I just got distracted by this gorgeous little creature. And they often perch like that in quite open areas, and you will watch. They are very, very carefully checking. There's another one that went past, for any flying insects. So most of their feeding is done, or their catching is done on the wing rather than leaping to something on the ground. So they're incredibly agile. There we go. We'll let the little bee-eater continue its perch. Now, always a good spot to look for animals around a waterhole, especially during our dry season. Now, Melody, as I was saying, we're part of an 8.5 million acre open system that traverses 3 different countries: Mozambique, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. It's called the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, and that area is open for the animals to wander wherever they please. Of course, we're not able to, as human boundaries, but human boundaries out here don't apply to the animals. There we go. There's a pile of bones next to us that Dave spotted. Now that's an old lion kill, and that ties in nicely with Octavia's questions. How often do we see lions? Well, at the moment we're probably seeing them every day, but they have a territory of about 16,000 acres, so they can move in and out. But I'm just going to jump out and show you quickly this buffalo skull. So obviously quite closely related to the cows. You see, this is actually a female. I'm going to bring it this side and have a better look at it. And really fascinating little processes happening here. So nothing out in the wild goes to waste. So you can even see a lot of this would have been eaten by lions and hyenas, but this bone is just too strong for even a hyena who's got 800 pounds of pressure per square inch when they bite to get into the brain casing. So there's a whole bunch of little insects that are specialized and will climb through the nasal cavity and feed off the brain before it completely decomposes. Now, one of the few things that cannot be eaten by most animals, because even the bone eventually be eaten by things like porcupine and stuff, and even chewed by other animals if they feel like they're lacking calcium. But keratin, or hair, which the boss is made out of, which is this part my hand is on at the moment, the horns, and it's really hard. Now, there's only one little insect out here that is able to eat that, and this is not that old, so there's very few little holes in it just yet. There we go. So you can see these little holes, and then this little cocoons that are there. Now that is from a fish moth. So the same moth that gets into your clothes is able to digest keratin. And if you find an older buffalo skull, or any actually skull for that matter, they can be completely covered in these little cocoons. These have actually hatched. So the top's open, so the little larvae have eaten as much of this compressed keratin as possible, and then they've taken off and disappeared. Well, let's put this back, because you never know, there might be some more fish moths in the area. They're looking for a meal. But this was killed by our major lion coalition that Jamie was telling you about, called the Birmingham Boys. There's 4 of them now, but there were 5. And one of them actually got severely injured and died from the injuries from hunting buffalo. So the lions don't always have it their own way. Okay, let's put my ears back in. So nothing happening at 3 in a row pan. So there is another prominent water point to the east of us. So we're going to keep moving through. So, well, thanks to all the teachers who joined us in Virginia Beach. They say thanks very much, and well, thanks for joining us. And now you've got to get back to work. That's quite sad. We'd much prefer it if you joined us on Safari Live. It's far more fun than work. Well, it is work for me. But cheers, and hopefully we'll see you soon. So thanks for bearing with us, everyone. That was a group of headmasters at a conference who are looking at possibly adding Safari Live to their curriculum. I suppose that's the right word, curriculum. Hi, Aaron. Aaron says, it's been a while since we've seen the Cheetah Boys. Do you think we'll see them today? I hope so. I'm going to slowly make my way down towards those open plains, and hopefully we'll get some luck there shortly. Okay, so while we head towards those vast open plains, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
Fourth time lucky? Yes, definitely fourth time lucky. We're going to try one more stretch of this road. I don't think we're going crazy though. We've now checked, as I said, 4 times. I don't know where this wind has come from. It's now howling across the Triple M boundary. These lions, I found the tracks where the lioness came and lay in the road, and then I can see where her tracks move towards Djuma. And then after that, things get a little bit trickier because the sand is quite hard at the moment after that rain, and I can't see exactly where she stepped through. But I suspect that she was lying on the road, a vehicle came past and basically scared her off a little bit away from where she was initially. That's my suspicion, because it is a main road and there's lots and lots of vehicle traffic. She might have decided that actually this wasn't such a good place to go and lie down. Let's just check very carefully here, because her sleeping mark, her sleeping track was just at this termite mound. I'll try and find it for you, or at least try and show it to you. It's really difficult to see in this light. It makes more sense to me that if she was lying on this side of the road, she might have pushed in that way. But I don't see anything. No sleeping lioness. Her track is here, her sleeping track, where she was lying down. That sort of scuffed area there, that's where her tail was, and then that flattened area is where her belly was. And then if you look really closely, you'll be able to see the lion track in the middle of that. I'm going to get out to show you what I mean. So far, I've already got out once here, so nothing's growled at me. I think we're fine. Unless she's on the other side of that termite mound, in which case, well, at least we would have found the lions. Are you on the other side of that termite mound? Don't think so. We would have heard it by now. So her track is here. This is her paw print. And when you're looking at a flattened patch of ground like that, if you don't immediately recognize what animal it might have been, the best way to look is to look for the track itself in the middle of the flattened track. And now I know her front paws were here. They've been driven over a little bit, but her front paws were here, and her tail is this streak here that's in the ground. So she was facing this direction. And then there's tracks going along here. It gets harder and harder to see them as they start to move on here, but there's one going that way. That's Djuma, that's Arathusa. They're somewhere here, and their tracks are really, really fresh. Even if I hadn't met that gentleman who was so excited about seeing lions, I still would have known that these are fresh. They've got a crispness to them. The fact that they've survived being on a main road without being driven over means that these lions were right here probably about 2 seconds before we got here. This temperature on a windy day, it's difficult to say whether or not they're going to keep moving or if they're going to stay where they are. Let's go and investigate. I think we've got enough evidence to say that they're somewhere this side. At least I hope they're somewhere this side. I have checked their last position. There's no evidence of them being anywhere there. But perhaps we'll find them just here in the shade somewhere. That's the log. That's the same log that tricked me the last time. Not going to make that mistake twice. They might be going for a drink. Possible. Perhaps at Voyatilla Dam. Keep your eyes on the Djuma Dam camera and see whether or not there's any sign of them coming across in that direction. Come on, lionesses. Playing games with us. They're most likely south of this road. Haven't seen any tracks crossing. Oh, good place to look. As I said, it's a funny day. With the wind, it's nice and cool, but if you sit stationary in the sun, you find yourself getting very warm very quickly, and perhaps they might have decided to go and lie down in the shade somewhere here. It makes you wish you had X-ray vision, be able to look through all of the trees that are in the way. What on earth was that bird? There were a whole load of helmet shrikes, and then one yellow bird that looked suspiciously like a... No, surely not. I've lost it now. Oh, there's the red-headed weavers are getting their plumage colours. Much, much clearer now. Sorry, Gendre, and I've lost him completely now. There was a bird with a bright red head, but he is... Oh, there he is. He's on top of that bush willow. This bush willow, this one that I'm pointing... Oh, and now he's gone behind there. If we go... Zoom in, yeah, that bush willow.
Yeah.
And he's now on the left-hand side. There he's fluttering, and I think there he is. Well done, Gendre. Bravo to Gendre, who managed to get that bird on camera for those split seconds. Hey, actually, high five, sorry.
Woo.
Dumped you in some serious mess there.
Sorry, just too many bush willows.
There are, I know, this entire area is bush willow. I might as well have said in the tree. In the tree, the one with the leaves. Sorry, Gendre. You did a good job though, everybody. Bravo to Gendre. Our cameramen do very well with us saying something like that bird over there, and there's about 50 birds in front of them. The one with the feathers. Come on, Gendre. Keep it together. This is so frustrating because I know that these lions are somewhere here. But where? There's some very, very relaxed looking impala that don't look as though the lions have just walked past them. They're in some very dense vegetation here. I'm sure they are 50 meters in from the road, flat, lying flat. The only way that we're going to find them, I think, is to go walking. Because otherwise this is starting to turn into a wild goose chase. There we go. That was like some kind of scratched record. Goose chase. I haven't walked on this road. We would see it. We would definitely see it. Even with the soil as hard as it is right now, we would see it. Okay. It's such a pity I don't know whether I could trust the left or the right story of that gentleman that pointed them out to us. I think he got so overly excited, and he was traveling towards us and we were traveling towards him, so our left and rights would be opposite, and I'm not sure whether he was talking about his left or my right. So while we try and figure out this puzzle of the lefts and the rights, the Djumas and the Arathusas, let's go over to Brent and find out if things are any simpler on Cheetah Plains.
So we've just arrived on the big open areas of Cheetah Plains, and I'm now just going to go very slowly. Let's stop for a bit, take out my binoculars, do a quick scan, see if we can spot anything. Hopefully a cheetah lying in the shade somewhere. Okay, so carefully check. Now, cheetah often they lie very flat. They've got a very slim body, and they have an incredible way of lying with their head sort of sitting up. They quite often look like a piece of elephant dung from a distance, especially if they're in the shade. Now, the one thing I'm going to say is I think Cheetah Plains, well, this area had a lot more rain than we did at Djuma. And I'm seeing lots of little patches of water, little pans that are filled up. Standing by, Herbie. Okay. I'm just going very slowly. No sign of anything just yet. So unfortunately it seems that my comms are not working here. I'm going to try head towards some higher ground. actually. Herbie was trying to call me. Herbert. So we left Herbie on foot where Karula was last seen. Sorry, Herbie, can you go again with that update, please? Well, good news. Copy, thanks, Herb. So he's found tracks of Karula crossing out of our Travis area, but she doesn't have the cubs with her, so the cubs could still be somewhere around there. So Herbie's going to go take a walk there. We're going to go check towards Cheetah Plains and hopefully we'll get some luck around there. But it does look like they had a lot more rain in this area. But hopefully, what do we have here? No, hyena tracks, not cheetah tracks. I'm just going to do a quick check of the northern boundary of Cheetah Plains, and hopefully we might find some sign of Mr. Q. Quarantine is a young male leopard who's trying to establish himself in this area, and he's a firm favourite of a lot of ours, and definitely one of my favourite leopards that we see on Cheetah Plains. Okay. As I said, I'm having a bit of problems with my comms at the moment, so I can't actually hear what Final Control is saying at all. So I'm going to try start moving a little bit further to the west. And we're going to check here. There doesn't seem to be much out on the open plains today, and that could have been because they've had a bit more rain in this area and the animals have spread out. More water around, but no sign of any creatures. Now, it's not to say that there aren't any animals here, but after the rain the tracking is quite difficult. So hopefully we've got a little bit of luck. We're just going to check around the northern boundary. If we get nothing there, I think we might skedaddle back towards Djuma, maybe go give Herbie a hand looking for those leopard cubs. And while we're on our way, there's lots of wonderful little creatures to see. You got it? Oh, got him. No. In the, oh, gone. There was a little scrub robin. Oh. There are some other birds here. Let me just go forward a bit. You got them? Top of the tree. There we go. There's some to get the birders' brains going. Some little LBJs. Now, I wonder if anyone out there knows the name of those LBJs. So grab a screenshot, get your bird book, see if you can figure out what little LBJ those two are. And notice the slightly more reddish crown on top of its head. That's one of the indicators of the species. Now, if you know what LBJ this is, send your answers through to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Well, those little LBJs were being quite nice. Normally don't sit around that long, so hopefully you got a screenshot and you got a bird book and you can figure it out while I try and make my way towards an area where my comms start working. There's another big open area coming up. If we get nothing on this open area, let's go north. Sorry guys, I'm just getting something on the radio here. Mike, confirm what was crossing into Voyatella? Sorry guys. Copy, thanks. So it sounds like there's lion tracks coming back into Djuma, and I'm sure Jamie's on top of those. I think it's looking a bit quiet down here on Cheetah Plains, and I think with that extra rain the animals would have spread. So I'm just want to check along the northern boundary here for any sign of Mr. Q. Sorry, on the radio again. Ah, there we go. Herbie's doing it for me. Okay, so while I try and get to some better comms, I think I just made it out that we're going to go back and see what Jamie's up to.
Oh well, Brent does whatever it is he's up to on Cheetah Plains. We are still looking for these lions because it is now a matter that I am absolutely determined to solve this mystery. The knowledge that we just missed out on seeing them, I find quite frustrating. I just see a very big puddle off into the block, which is good. That means they're not going to go all the way to Voyatella Dam to go and have a drink. They're going to stick around here if that's what they're looking for. Maybe they were hunting. Maybe they were hunting those impala that I said looked so relaxed. Perhaps that's why the impala looked so relaxed. You never know. Yes, exactly. Well, just enjoying the moments spent without the knowledge. It's not the lion you see that gets you, I suppose. But they're here somewhere. They haven't gone, they can't have gone that far. They wouldn't surely have gone that far in this heat. They weren't that hungry this morning. They were, Amber Eyes was looking a little bit like she could use a meal, but the others were fine. They were still relatively round-bellied. They've just finished off a buffalo in the last 2 days. And they're not that hungry. They're not hungry enough to push constantly to try and find food. Which leads me to the conclusion that they're here somewhere and not far away from where we are. Okay, one last loop, but in an opposite direction. Maybe they're decided to go further to the south. I found one track, which, you know, it speaks volumes. I found one footprint, and I can't decide if it's not from this morning, when they were, perhaps when they moved through this area, they were playing with each other before they crossed into Arathusa. I'm just trying to communicate something on the Game Drive channel because Taxon is asking about these lions. I'm just waiting for the conversation to finish. I'm trying to, at least. Tax. Our taxi, it looks as if they crossed just south of the power lines. One of the guys that I bumped into on Triple M saw them. I'm trying to follow up on Impala Road now, but I don't think they've gone too far into this block. Just giving Tax that update about the fact that they have crossed. Okay, copy that, thank you. Alright, everybody keep your eyes peeled. If I were the lions, I would pop out somewhere here. There's plenty of food on these open areas usually, and there's also lots of shade, lots of cover, and at the same time nice open areas for them to look across and look for something to hunt. They're somewhere here, they're in this drainage system, they haven't moved far. Come on, lions. Oh, this is so frustrating. You get to the point where you've just spent, because we spent 2 hours this morning tracking them. They crossed, and as they crossed, everybody jumped on board to want to go and see them, and we weren't able to join the queue. And now, this afternoon, they're somewhere here. There's the Impala. They're far away, but they're looking very happy with life. They don't look like a lion has just walked through. Looking very, very calm. No glancing off in a different direction. We've spoken before about the fact that potential prey species are usually quite relaxed in the presence of a predator, provided they can see that predator and they can watch what it's doing. That's what lulls them into that sense of security. And strangely enough, it's not unheard of for lions to actually capitalize on that entire process. And what I mean by that is lions have been known to fake sleep, pretend to be sleeping to lull the animals into a false sense of security, all the while with another lioness or lion waiting in the wings to catch the animals or to chase the antelope towards that other lion. So that's just an interesting thing I didn't realize that lions did until relatively recently. But it's a clever technique. If the animals think that they are safe because they can see the lions, might be worth thinking twice before they go making any mad rushes off in any direction. They're not here either. They've got to be just off the road. I think it's so hard with the soil being as hard as it is right now. It's almost, unless you walk along the road, unless you walk along each and every road, you've got a very, very good chance of missing tracks coming across. Check here too carefully, and there's lots of water here. They might have come to decide to have a drink at these mud wallows. It's the first time I've seen water in here in a very, very long time. Perhaps they crossed in somewhere here and decided to come for a drink. So frustrating, I can see the other road. They've got to be between this road and that road. They have to be. We can't have missed them by that much. Okay. The only way we're going to solve this is to go for a walk. That's going to be the only way we're going to find them. They've got to be in here somewhere. Unless there's a couple of them marching back to wherever it is that they've hidden their cubs at the moment. Because this morning when we saw them, we had all 5 Nkuhumas with us, but no cubs. So all 3 sets had been left somewhere, not to fend for themselves exactly, but they'd been left somewhere to wait for Mom to return. Perhaps the 3 of them, the 3 lionesses, have gone on a mission back to find them. Because we've only really got tracks for 3 lionesses coming back across that we can confirm, but then again, as I said, it's a main road. Somebody could have driven over the 4th and 5th set remarkably easily. 5th time lucky? No, I'm going to get into trouble if I do that. No. We can't drive Triple M for a 5th time. We really can't. I'll have to drive and then walk it. We got it. Ah. I thought Chandra made an exclamation as if he'd just found the lions. I thought he'd got them. I was about to rejoice. We'll just expand our search a little bit farther afield. We'll check Zoe's road. Our stations, I can't find any sign of them crossing Impala Road. I might have missed it, but I can't see any sign of them coming through. If they were coming back, where would they go? Where have they hidden those cubs? I'm pretty certain that some of the cubs have been left in that drainage area around Galago Pan. They might be somewhere around there. Sorry, Orbs, I couldn't copy that at all. Okay, copy. Thanks, Aubrey. And absolutely, Tasha Michelle. Sorry, that was the whole process behind using that game drive channel was in fact so that I can hear whether or not the other reserves have found them. So they all work off one channel in certain areas. So we've got our northern channel, we've got our western channel and our eastern channel, and it just depends upon where we are that we listen to them, or which channel we listen to. And the other guides will absolutely keep us updated, so they're all aware that we are looking for these lions and that we are casting about to see if we can't spot them somewhere on Djuma. So if perchance they'd crossed back, say, further to the north, then any of the guys at Simbombili or Arathusa, they would let us know and just tell them, okay guys, we found all 5 of them, so you don't need to worry about looking any further. Oh, just something really useful that we do, and there's a great sense of helping each other out in that sense, because we've all been there, especially for some of them where they've got guests there for their last day, desperate to see a leopard, and we'll help them out, or vice versa. So there's a great spirit of camaraderie and a great knocking from Wendy's front right wheel that shouldn't be there. That's new. Anyway, I'm sure Wendy's absolutely fine. But I will be listening, Tasha Michelle, and I will keep you updated about whether or not those lions are found. It's entirely possible that they could have just done a little loop and gone back. Maybe they got nervous because there was a helicopter or something and they just moved back onto the property. And then it's really useful to have different eyes and ears on the ground in different areas. And George H, George H is thinking about what I would love to happen right now, which is how often when we are tracking an animal does it appear around the bend in a road while we're tracking it. Sure, it depends. Most of the time we'll be able to tell you with a certain degree, if not accuracy, then we'll be able to tell you these tracks are fresh versus these tracks are a couple of hours old. When we say these tracks are fresh, I would say that maybe 25% of the time when you're driving along and you go around the corner, that animal is still there on the road. Most of the time the animal's moved off and it takes a little bit more in the way of searching, or the animal just pops out where you didn't expect to see it at all. It's just walking towards the road as you happen to drive around the corner. So there's lots of luck involved as well. There's skill, there's a combination of skill and luck in working and, well, just in driving around out here in general. Oh, something doesn't sound good in Wendy. Trying to show you a lilac-breasted roller, but it is playing hard to get. I also want to know where all the elephants have gone. It felt like over the last 3 days you couldn't go around a corner without meeting an elephant, and now all of a sudden they all seem to have vanished off into the bush, making life relatively difficult. Just bear with me, every now and again I'm going silent so that I can listen to the Game Drive channel. It seems as though Rusty is experiencing some problems. So Brent is on his way back towards Djuma. Not sure exactly what's going on there. I just want to test something on Wendy, sorry. As we're going along, I just want to see where the bump is. Yeah, steering bar. It's on the left-hand turn, left side turn. Alright, well, I get out and have a look at what's coming loose in Wendy. Let's go back over to Brent, who does seem to have picture and signal, and find out how his trip back from Cheetah Plains is going.
So we're back from Cheetah Plains. We're in this area where Herbie is checking for the Karula's cubs, and he just let me know that there was a big elephant bull that crossed around here. So we're going to see if we can catch up with that elephant bull. And he did find tracks of Karula crossing out, but further down the road, and those weren't there this morning, so she must have just been playing Give Brent the Slip this morning. So we're going to see if we can catch up with that Eddie. I'm hoping it's a big bull. I haven't seen a nice, really big elephant bull in a while. And just to see from Herbie which way it went. Maybe it's having a mud bath in the water hole. Herbie. Which way did that one and only go famba? Copy. Heading straight north. Okay. Heading straight north, so we're going to do the same. Okay, so Herbie says her tracks came back north. Hello, Isabella. Isabella's 5 years old, and Isabella wants to know whether I think that the elephants chased the baby lions away, and that's why they're hiding now. Now, Isabella, that could very easily happen. elephants often chase. Oh, hello, little Franklin. That's a Natal Franklin. We've seen the crested. This is the second more common species we get here. Isabella, I'll be back to your question in a second. They're actually quite pretty birds. And when you look closely, such intricate patterns on their feathers. Digging around, looking for grass seeds that might have been washed down in the riverbed, or any insects hiding in the leaf litter. Now, that is a female. The male will be around. Now, the reason I know it's a female is if we look at its feet. So, wait for it to move. There's a small spur, sort of very similar to what you get on chickens, on the back side of the feet that the males use for fighting. Now, on the females, it's quite a lot smaller. The males have massive spurs. Foraging away. What you found in there, Franklin? Oh, no, up. There we go. Looking, keep moving down the riverbed. We're going to do the same. So, if the tracks are coming back to the north, I want to just have a quick look where we had those leopard cubs yesterday. They might have just been hiding in a little thicket this morning. So, Isabella, elephants often chase lions and lion cubs, so maybe that lions bumped into some elephants today and they chased them. I just want to check in these thickets here. Another good place for a little leopard cub to hide. Lots of really good spots for little leopards to hide in. Okay, I just want to have a... Okay, so this is where they were yesterday, so I just want to check carefully up on the steep bank. Nope. It's just always worth double checking. But always worth a check. But no sign of those little horrors. Hopefully Herbie has some success on foot. Oh, we've got some answers in for the bird quiz. A helmeted shrike and a red-crowned lapwing. I don't even think there is such a bird as a red-crowned lapwing, but nope. I think you guys are still going to have to figure that one out. Back to the bird books. Well done to Joanne and James. That is spot on. It is a rattling cisticular. That little red cap is one of the giveaways. Okay, so I'm going to head further now to the west and see what we can find in that area. Okay, so Liz said, Franklin, reminder of quails, and do we get any quails in this area? We do, Liz, but they prefer the grassy areas, and Franklin are quite a lot bigger than quails. If I had to describe them to a northern hemisphere bird, probably grouse is the closest thing you can describe them to. We get button quails, which are tiny, tiny little things, and then we get common quail and blue quail. But again, they prefer more grassy areas. It is possible in a really wet year that they might migrate through and be in the Sabi Sands, in this area of the Sabi Sands. But generally, I've seen quails a lot further to the south. Okay, while we head towards the west, I'm going to go give Jamie and Aubrey a hand trying to figure out where the lions went. Let's go see how Jamie's lion hunt is going.
It is wonderful news to hear that Brent is on his way to give us a hand. We have scoured the whole of the western edge of Djuma, and I'm now going to go towards Arathusa and just double check that perhaps they're not hiding on there somewhere. But for now, we've just moved a little bit farther afield in order to see whether or not there are any animals hiding about and whether or not the animals decided to come in this direction. It doesn't seem as though that is the case, though. They're all hiding away. Jandra made a very valid point, because we were questioning where all our antelope and zebra and things are. And Jandra's point was, well, we did spend the morning here with both wild dogs and lions in exactly the same place. I'm not sure if that's why they're hiding out. I also think that there might be the water option, the fact that there is so much groundwater around, meaning that they are a little bit more dispersed than they might otherwise have been. But we are going back to where we had those last tracks of the lions. I did want to go and get out and hop out and go for a little bit of a wander around. So let's head back and we can do that all together. The knocking on Wendy, by the way, I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't sound ideal. Anyway, I think that it'll be just fine. And Tasha Michelle, apart from Herbie, you want to know whether or not we have anybody out on foot helping us out. And Tasha Michelle, we do sort of. Now, usually when there are three of us on the ground, when it's James, Brent, and myself, and with Steph around as well, we can often send out one of us on tracking team to go for a little bit of a walk, have a nice peaceful bush experience on foot, and at the same time help the two other guides out in terms of tracking. But there's also all of the trackers that sit on the front of the vehicles, both for the Djuma vehicles, for the Cheetah Plains vehicles. A lot of the various lodges have trackers that sit on the front, and whenever they pick up fresh tracks, then they will just jump off and go. And they carry a handheld radio that they then will call in if they've found the animal or not. And then what the guide usually does is skips ahead several steps and then calls the tracker if they find tracks crossing the road whilst the tracker's busy walking. And these trackers are truly amazing people. They can see things that it would take a very firm stretch of one's imagination to believe that you had seen in the sand. Hello, zebra. Nice to see you. Having just said that there were no zebra around, here we have two of them. Two stallions, I think. Hello, boys. Munching away on whatever's left of the grass, and to be 100% honest with you, there's not terribly much left. But at least they too will be rejoicing in the fact that we have had a little bit of rain to make our lives slightly easier. Look at them. They truly are some of the most photogenic animals. They are so... These boys are particularly in good condition. You can see their coats gleaming in the afternoon sun. Flicking their heads to keep the flies away. And this boy giving us a nice way of telling the difference between a male and a female, because you can actually really see how thin that stripe is underneath his tail. It's one of the hardest things to do for first-timers or first-time visitors to the bush, is identify the difference between a male and a female zebra. It's not always as clear as you might think, and that is the best way of doing it. In the females, that black stripe is much, much thicker. Now, these are plains zebra, also known as, or they were known as Burchell's zebra, and I have to be honest, to me they probably will always be, or I will always think of them as Burchell's zebra. That was the name that they were called when I was a child. That name has since been changed to plains zebra. Obviously Burchell, I don't know his exact history, but I'm going to assume, given that there's also Burchell's kukkel, Burchell's starling, that he was a biologist of sorts. Tail swishing from side to side. And let's go forward a little bit and just get a nice different view of them. And while we do, spoke about them being plains zebra, but Leanne wanted to know whether there are any subspecies of zebra. And Leanne, absolutely there are subspecies of zebras. Strangely enough, there aren't any that are still living. But I don't know, Leanne, if you've ever heard of an animal called the quagga. Our genetic testing done on quagga's remains, because unfortunately as human beings, they were one of the animals that we killed off very early on in the arrival in Africa of the sort of western colonies. So the quagga was made extinct. It is an animal that it's a sort of a half zebra, half horse, or at least that is how it was described. What we now know through DNA testing is that it was a subspecies of the plains or the Burchell zebra. And interestingly enough, there is a project in the Western Cape that is looking to recreate the quagga. And that's spelled Q, I think it doesn't have a U, I think it's Quagga, quagga. And they're looking basically through selective breeding, because what it seems as though is that a population of plains zebra at some point many thousands of years ago became isolated in some way, probably geographically, perhaps due to a flood or a change in the river systems, and through breeding they created this strange half-horse looking creature. And you'll see it with some of our Burchell zebra or our plains zebra. Next time we stop at a zebra, have a look at the stripe patterns, because some of them have stripes that extend all the way across their rump, and most of the time zebra look like this, but there are some individuals where the stripes are much, much fainter around certain parts of their body. And for better or for worse, certain scientists have been trying to take those zebra with the sort of faint stripes around the rump and slowly breed away the stripes in the rear end. And they've got to the point where they now have a blank bottomed zebra without any stripes. Their next step is to try and inject certain levels of brown into that coat. So a weird, really interesting subspecies of plains zebra. Then, of course, you get the mountain zebra and the Grevy's zebra. We don't have any Grevy's or mountain in this area. Grevy's zebra up towards eastern Africa. And the Cape mountain, an endangered species that you will find in the Cape area. You know, because in case Cape mountain zebra didn't give that away. And the stripes of a Cape mountain zebra don't extend all the way down to the center of the animal's belly. They don't meet in the middle like they do in our plains zebra. Slightly shorter, not quite as stocky as our Burchell's or our plains zebra. You see, I can't call these animals plains zebra without mentioning them as Burchell's zebra. I struggle. It's one of those name changes that I really struggle with. Now, truly lovely animals. And there's an animal that makes for some really spectacular photographs. There we go, giving us a demonstration as to just how well the stripes work in terms of breaking up the outline of the animal, because imagine you didn't have a camera zoomed in and looking at them. Jean-Ray gave us a really nice idea there with the focus, but look at that. So we're looking at it through the eyes of the camera. Now imagine you're looking at it through the eyes of a predator that doesn't even see color as well as we do. Yes, they're certainly geared towards movement, but picking out where an individual zebra starts and finishes might make that split-second difference that in turn will mean success or failure of a hunting mission. And speaking of success or failure of a hunting mission, we're going that way, and we are going to go and find those lions, because I refuse to not find those lions. I know that they're there somewhere. And I agree, Roger, they are too relaxed for there to be lions around. That's because we've moved our search a little bit further afield, and there's definitely no lions around here on this road. So what we do now is we drive all the way back, and we're going to go and find those lions. I have absolutely no doubt that they're around, and the clock is ticking, because as it starts to get darker and cooler, those lions are going to get up and move around. And the question is, where are they going to move to? I'm sure that 3 of the 5 of them have cubs to feed, so they're going to have to head back. I can almost guarantee at least 2 of the sets are on Djuma. So 2 sets of cubs are somewhere here. And generally they won't leave their cubs much more than 24 hours before they go back and feed them. Not quite like a leopard. I know that Brent was talking about finding Karula's cubs. And I also know that he is, at the moment, sort of triple, if I know Brent as well as I do, he's going to be triple checking really carefully on his way to the west to make sure that there's no sign of them, because he knew he had them yesterday, and they've got to still be in this area. So a leopard will leave their cubs a little bit longer than a lion will. Oh, this wind.